What's good, YouTube? It's your boy JusticeXFalls. We back at it again with another video. As you can see, the upgrade has happened. The production has been stepped up just a notch. I started back streaming on Twitch. You can check out the stream. I'll link it in the description or something like that. But this is how we're going to be doing things moving forward. We're trying to step the game up. New year, new vibes, new everything. We're going to be doing a reaction video. We're going to be reacting to Dead Space, how a single scene was created. I'm looking at it right now from IGN first. And we're going to just get to it. So without further ado, let's get to the video. Whew, you see the seamless transition? Fire, ain't it? Fire. Hold on. My headphones weren't even plugged in. That's why I couldn't really hear myself like that. There we go. All right, so let's get it.
The Dead Space remake is a faithful recreation of the 2008 sci-fi horror classic. Well, mostly faithful. EA Motive has seized the opportunity to improve on the original, and so some sequences play out differently than you remember. An early example is the moment in which protagonist Isaac Clarke watches a corpse transform into a necromorph for the first time.
Oh my goodness.
If you're unfamiliar with it,
That
here are
is
the
disgusting.
talented developers to explain the scene.
In the original version, it was a lot more toned down.
Isaac comes into the morgue, and then an infector comes through the vent, attacks the body, converts him to necromorph, and it bursts through the glass and attacks Isaac.
But that's an opportunity where we wanted to make it feel a lot more interactive, and we wanted to make it feel more immersive.
In our version, you come in and there's actually a door, so you actually go into the autopsy room itself.
There's a very low fog. It's kind of eerie. You enter the room where
Very
he's
eerie.
at.
He rolls the body over to retrieve the rig on the captain's back.
And as he's removing his rig,
Boom.
An infector falls from the ceiling.
The infector is now infecting the captain, and which is the catalyst that begins the full transformation.
And then the captain starts to transform into this elite slasher.
All his clothes, started to peel, started to transform into flesh.
You're seeing all manner of goo and goop and disgusting transformation right in front of the camera.
As it's screaming at Isaac, he uses kinesis, grabs a fire extinguisher, clocks it across the head, and manages to get up.
And then we move from there into gameplay. Quite visceral.
Very visceral.
To find out how the new version of this sequence was created, we spoke to several members of the Dead Space team to explore their roles in bringing the moment to life. That started, of course, with the original scene, alongside a core concept: how to make it even more immersive.
There's a lot of scenes in the original Dead Space that happen behind glass, and there's a reason for that in a lot of cases. But where possible, we want to bring that action out. It kind of leads into the through line of telling the story of what the necromorphs are. What are these things? Where do they come from? Oh, they're transformed corpses.
This is the first time we're seeing a full transformation. We wanted to make sure we conveyed just how bloody, disturbing those transformations could be.
Yeah,
It's also possible to miss that transformation in the original. You could walk into the morgue and just be like, oh, well, I'm going to look at what's over there. It also means that a crucial piece of information can get lost, which is these things are transformed corpses. You see bodies on the floor, and you feel compassion for them. And now everybody on the floor is a potential threat.
Not me.
that's one of the things that from day one we wanted to have a lot more in the game. We said this would be a good opportunity to do that in that scene, where you actually get to see the captain transforming, and then really surprising the player.
With all the goals of the scene established, it was now the job of the narrative team to come up with the exact step-by-step actions of both Isaac and his necromorph foe. The plan was for this version of the scene to better communicate the terror of being confronted by a freshly transformed necromorph, as well as improve the portrayal of Isaac and his capabilities.
Well, he said it like that. He
We
said
want to bring the scene out
Isaac.
from behind the glass. Okay, well then,
Isaac.
how does that look like? How does that feel? How do we want the player to feel? How do we want Isaac to be seen? So kind of with that in mind, I talked with Joel McMillan a little bit about it. Obviously he's going to be disarmed in that moment, but obviously Isaac's never completely disarmed. He has kinesis, and it was immediately a really great sort of visual of him, even when he's sort of helpless, to grab that fire extinguisher and go for it. And it was a really good chance to kind of show how quick thinking he is, even in, I don't know about you, but I'd be pretty paralyzed in that kind of moment.
I
So would
began
I.
blocking down some storyboards. I had some movements in my mind that I really wanted to see the captain go through throughout his transformation. I had some, I got, just in my own home, we're all working through COVID, so we're all at home. So I had my girlfriend take photos of me acting out the transformation. I would sketch over those with the limbs of the slasher, because I didn't have the same amount of appendages as a slasher would. So I'd have to draw in the arms and show where the animation would be going on those arms and where the weight was and all that kind of thing.
There's a lot of back and forth with them about what we want that scene to be. Every
That's
scene is an
dedication.
opportunity to develop Isaac's character, show who he is, as well as really getting that terror of
That's
a
true
necromorph
dedication right
transforming
there.
inches away from your face.
Moving Isaac into the room and just inches away from Captain Matthias would mean players would see every single movement in detail. To achieve results that would stand up to such close scrutiny, this entire sequence needed to be performance captured. But this wouldn't be a simple sequence, as one of the actors would somehow need to become a corpse with blades for arms.
We went through and choreographed that through photographs and sketches on top of that to get the general staging and choreography of the scene laid out. Then from that, the talented team of animators started to block that in 3D using our rough models that we have on the project at the time.
I think aside from doing the scripts, honestly, I think the most fun was the PCAP, because we had a lot of fun putting that scene together. The two performers that we had really got into it. They actually spent a long time kind of working together, kind of figuring out the logistics. Okay, you're going to do this, and I'm going to turn this way and come. And it was actually really fun to watch that come together and watch them work. Yeah, the Infector was the theatre of the imagination, and Noshir, because he's a very experienced mocap actor, he was able to mime the corpse being attacked, and then we were able to bring it in later. That scene actually cost Noshir's arm extenders. That scene when he comes down and brings the slasher blade comes down, that actually broke one of Noshir's arm extenders.
To make this scene work as the team envisioned, the camera would need to be uncoupled from its usual over-the-shoulder position and move around Isaac and the Necromorph. Thankfully, EA's in-house engine was able to be adapted to the team's needs.
In order to show just how disgusting and visceral and horrific that sequence could be, we needed to get that camera as close as possible to the captain. And so this sequence was also a test bed for decoupling the camera from Isaac's shoulder and trying to find our camera language. What is our camera behavior and camera language going to be when it's not player controlled on the back of Isaac's shoulder?
With the performance capture data and tools ready, it was time.
There's so much that goes into creating games, and I don't think we as gamers, we get the end product. So we don't really know how much actually goes into these games, and that's why a lot of the times I'm not sympathetic, but it's I don't really come down on these people too hard when the game comes out and then there's a bug or something, because even though you've had years to, you had a certain amount of time to create the game, human error is inevitable. None of us are perfect. Nobody goes to work and does perfect all the time. Everybody makes mistakes. So now, is it a little suspicious that it seems like every game is coming with a day one patch and things like that? Yeah, but I think that's more pressure from corporate. I don't think, had it been for had you left it up to just the development team, these games would come out better. I think these days you got to look at the publishers who, the head of development is probably being pressured by the publishers to put these games out. That's just my theory. That's just what I think. If you think otherwise, that's fine. Or if you have other concrete evidence to bring in, you could bring it up. But I think we often take for granted how much effort really goes into putting a video game, because all we're doing is putting our money down on the counter and taking it home, or ordering it on our console and then going home and playing it. But there's much more that went into that game than just the final transaction and the final product of actually playing the game.
For the art and cinematic teams to put the scene together. Because there's no dialogue, all focus would be on the visuals, and so the artist worked hard to ensure every element of both Isaac and his gruesome foe were rendered in the most realistic way possible.
We started from the actual characters, making sure that all the detail is there and that would hold up to the camera.
Sipping on that Lipton.
up close.
Lipton
You would often
green
say
tea.
it should look like a bowl of soup that's being poured
Citrus
out
tea.
onto Isaac's lap. And then, yeah, this is where the limb would stretch and break and then turn into a spike and hoist his weight. This is where the jaw should, swing and drop off. And so we went through in layers like that and built in every single piece of detail that we could think of.
It was really important to show well the transformation and to keep also this idea that everything is seamless. So it was really a good way for us to be very close, to the action, to show very well, how those necromorphs appear, and to keep the player always in control and engaged as much as we can.
That desire for a
Like
seamless
that.
transformation meant that there was no way that the captain's model could be swapped out for a necromorph. That corpse had to morph into a space zombie in real time. But thanks to the game's new peeling system, the art team had everything they needed to create a realistic transformation scene.
Whether it's that transformation or any other necromorph in the game, we started from scratch. We started from the base layer, building the skeletal system that's accurate to that character. And then we built the muscles, the layers of fat, sinew, bones, all of that stuff is built layer by layer. So that in the game, depending on the weapon you use, you get to dismember them in kind of the way that you want to as a player. The challenging part was making sure that it holds up, because you do get to see it quite close. The rest of the game, you'll usually dismember the necromorphs at a distance, but in this one it really was up close and personal. So all of that had to work perfectly, the timing of it, the lighting, the effects, animation, the entire scene had to look flawless.
Beneath all that artwork is a serious amount of technology, and the technical team worked in parallel with the art team to ensure that all of the animations would play out flawlessly.
We can do a massive mesh swap there to allow for the transformation itself to happen on top of Isaac. The captain falling onto Isaac, that whole camera's like going to the floor and coming back. There's a mesh swap happening there so that we can have the proper transfer.
I wonder how they did it in the original game, like what challenges they faced in the original game to have that scene happen. I didn't really see them talk about that much. But how they did it here, it just seemed very seamless. And it seemed with this new powerful engine that they have, they were able to make it look very like cohesive.
Happen. So there's cool tech behind it, but a lot of it, like I said early on, is the animation team did a massive job of just animating and going pixel perfect on what they wanted for the transformation. It was a question of us making sure that we can afford it in that context.
The bond between art and technology is what makes this scene possible, but it's the smaller elements that really make the moment come alive. Like everywhere else in the Dead Space remake, there's much more detail in this scene than there was in the original version.
Definitely, you could tell that just
When you remove
off
the
the rip.
rig, from the captain, it's a kind of some clips that you detach on the back. Suddenly, for me, it gives my imagination a logic of, okay, it's logical. It's attached by clips, and you can remove it like this. It feels like natural and logic. Some kind of little detail, that don't have big value, but that ground a bit, the fantasy of everything. So I really appreciate those little details.
I really love how they got all the uniforms shredding off his back, and there's a really it's a really good moment when Isaac sort of hits the floor and kind of the low-lying fog on the floor of the more kind of billows away.
As with every individual moment
I didn't even
in
notice
every
that.
video game, the final result is the product of people working together. For the team at EA Motive, it was exciting to see all of their individual contributions combine to create such a gruesome and effective scene.
From day one, it was one of the things that we wanted to have more of that in the remake. It felt very satisfying to actually see a transformation so up close.
So it's a good mix of witnessing the transformation, being fascinated by what you see, and knowing that, okay, you need to act very soon. So I think this moment was really well done.
It is a team effort. All I do is just work with the team and help them, guide them, but they did all the work, and I'm super proud of them.
So it comes down to what I like best about working in games is just working with a lot of different people and different kind of mindsets. It's a challenge, but it's also very rewarding once you solve it.
I feel
Definitely.
that sequence retains the original vision the closest of any of the sequences we have in the game. And there's a ton of very elaborate sequences in the game. But that one from start to finish retained the core vision as closely as possible.
For more from Dead Space, check out how the EA Motive team rebuilt the game's iconic guns
Yeah, we reacted to
and
that one.
rewrote the story. And for
Yeah, we
everything
reacted to
else,
that too.
stick with IGN.
So yeah, cool. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, you know, there's a lot of work that go into these games, and I think as gamers we get, you know, we get spoiled, and we get, you know, even though we are spending our hard-earned money and the game prices are going up, end of the day, you know, gaming is a business, so, you know, there's money to be made. These people are working with a lot of expensive equipment. They're spending hella time away from their families and stuff, and this is their career. This is how they put food on the table. So, you know, is what it is, kind of. You know, I don't like that games are $70, but I mean, I understand the business side of it too. You know, and I feel like we take videos like this really make you take a step back and say, wow, like, not only has gaming come like a long way, like there's a lot that goes into making a game. Even doing a remake, it looked like they just really just use the original game just for reference, and like built the whole new game. Like this feels like it's gonna be a whole new game. You know, it's just that we know the story, we know how it's gonna end because of the original. But yeah, this game's gonna be dope. We already on it. January 27th. It's up. It's up and it's stuck on January 27th. That's all I'm gonna say. So, let me know what y'all think in the comments though. So, and do y'all like the new setup? Y'all feeling the setup? Is it too much? Let me know. Let me know if y'all fucking with it. So, you already know the vibes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. This is your boy JusticeXFalls, and we out. One.